A good Wednesday, everybody. Great to see you and welcome in. Got an update for you on the pattern ahead, specifically watching a time frame right around the start of the second week of February that I think could bring an impactful storm system, including maybe some ice, snow, and severe weather. We'll talk about it in today's video. Now, before we get there, though, we do have some ongoing active weather, including severe weather and winter weather here through portions of the country that we're going to need to break on down, and that will continue into this weekend as we continue to track our ongoing storm system. Now, before we do anything though, if you haven't already, go ahead, like the video, subscribe, and hit that bell for the latest notifications. It's a great way to stay up to date. Also comment, let me know where you're watching from, and let me know if you want to see an early spring or a couple more weeks of winter, getting close to Groundhog Day this Sunday. So everyone go ahead and make their little predictions for what you think Punxsutawney Phil will find. Personally, I think he's going to say early spring, but that's just my guess, and obviously that's not my forecast, but we'll definitely see if maybe the weather wants to kind of play with that or not as we go ahead and look at the long-range models in today's video. All right, let's go ahead and start talking weather here and give you the latest. Now, looking at our satellite loop here, this is upper-level water vapor. I mean, folks, it's not hard to find where the troublemaker is currently. It's this area we've been talking about for a couple of days now over portions of Southern California, Arizona, and really helping to amplify this train of Pacific moisture into portions of the south central United States, and plenty of upper-level diffluence. We've been talking about that as well. Is leading to a big increase in the potential for some rain and even severe storms over the mid-south. And really the southern plains here by the time we go into today, tonight, and into tomorrow as well. Now, another little area on the map here, we've got a dip in the jet stream up into the northeast. This is bringing another shot of brutal Arctic air, some strong winds, and some snow as well. So we are seeing active weather out there right now. I know it's not record Gulf Coast snow like we saw a week ago, but still active weather. Let's go ahead and zoom on into some of it. We'll start here in the northeast, a pretty potent little clipper system associated with that upper level dip in the jet stream. You can see all that snow falling. We've got snow in Augusta, Maine, down through Portland, New Hampshire, Vermont, upstate New York, even snow down to the Buffalo and Erie area this morning. I know you're seeing some of the rain here. This is probably really all snow, honestly, but maybe these extreme low valleys might be getting a little bit of rain, but honestly, I'd be surprised if any of this is not snow. But let me know in Rochester and down through the Finger Lakes what you're seeing out there. This will continue to work east throughout the day. In fact, we've also got some lake effect snow ongoing into Marquette, here into the northern thumb of Michigan, not far from Traverse City, into Carp Lake, southbound on US 75 through that corridor down towards Grayling, seeing some of that lake effect snow. This is a usual hotspot for lake effects, so nothing too surprising there. Other than that, though, we do have the start of our storm system getting going down south. Look at this rain beginning down into Texas, Oklahoma, down through Louisiana. It doesn't look impressive now, but by the time we get to overnight tonight, this is going to form into a pretty powerful squall line, and then that tomorrow could trigger more storms with the potential of some tornadoes. So we will talk about that in today's video. Now, before we get to any of it, these are our current alerts out there right now, and like I mentioned, a couple areas of some active weather, specifically the Northeast with winter storm warnings actually in effect for portions of the upstate of New York, and winter weather advisories in those purple colors. Also, like I said, it's going to be pretty windy today as this Arctic front pushes through. We've got wind advisories from kind of the Asheville area of North Carolina all the way up the Appalachia chain into the Alleghenies, the entire state of New Jersey, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts. Yeah, it's going to be a pretty windy afternoon for you folks. Even high wind warnings step above the wind advisories there into the mountains of eastern West Virginia and even into portions of Maryland there. Going to get those really kind of gusty winds this afternoon and evening. Now, we also have flood advisories, or flood watches up, I should say, here into portions of Arkansas, back down into southeastern Oklahoma. All of that lift over Texas, yeah, that's going to produce a lot of rain. So even if you're not getting severe weather, a flooding threat going to be a concern, and then dealing with some dense fog this morning into some of these gray boxes on your map. Now, let's go ahead and time out the rest of the snow really quickly, and then we'll kind of dive on into the totals to come, and then we'll talk about severe weather after that. So here we go. Here's this clipper system. We've been talking about it for a while now. A little more scattered in nature with the snow here than maybe it looked like a couple of days ago. However, those of you that see the snow, it's going to be coming down pretty good. These are impressive snowfall rates with these little bands, borderline snow squalls that are working around this low pressure. And it's, I'll tell you, if this was put in the southern plains on a warm day in the spring, this would be almost kind of a supercell outbreak. You kind of get the general idea here. See these little pockets of the snow. Yeah, same thing, kind of like snow squalls, snow supercells, if you will. Now, not exactly that, so don't go running around telling the world that that's what I said. But you get the point here. Kind of a feisty low pressure with feisty little snow squalls and showers embedded within. That will push east this afternoon. Could mix with some rain or graupel or sleet along the I-95 corridor, but all snow and heavy snow and very low visibility in these squalls this afternoon. Areas further inland into the northeast, and that'll continue this afternoon. Also, I know it's at the edge of your screen here, but I do have Michigan in here, the eastern UP getting snow, even that northern thumb bit there along the US 75 corridor that we talked about earlier. Going to see some of that snow, and these snow squalls continue into the overnight. This is 7 p.m. Eastern tonight. You can see these little snow showers and squalls continuing, and even places like New York City, Boston, Hartford could try to get in on the fun, but the real accumulation will be further inland and further north, I think, as well, through Maine into New Hampshire, Vermont, upstate New York. And we get into overnight tonight, begins to calm down, but tomorrow afternoon, you'll see maybe another little kind of chance for a couple of snow showers, but really today is going to be the main show out of this storm. And let's take a look at snowfall to come with it. So this is a really zoomed in view on the UP. Kind of back towards Sault Ste. Marie between you and Marquette, going to have the highest chances of accumulating snowfall in that 2 to 4 inch range, I think. Going to have a pretty good swath there of snow there on the kind of shore there of Lake Superior. Now we'll keep on moving it down here and to the thumb of Michigan itself. Not a lot of snow here, but like I said, that US 75 corridor just to the kind of east here of Traverse City, going to have the highest chance of accumulating snow out of a thin band that'll set up, which is pretty common at this time of year, so nothing out of the usual. Everyone else, I mean, maybe a dusting, a couple areas, if you're lucky, could get a little bit more up towards Alpena, forecasting about an inch or so out of this event over the next day or two. But other than that, not a huge event for the Michigan area. Now, changes a good bit into the northeast. This is where we'll see higher in snowfall totals, specifically upstate New York. And then I think this corridor of Vermont, New Hampshire, and then into Maine, we're going to have some of these higher elevations, potentially getting near half a foot of snow when all is said and done. A little bit further down the mountain, a good 1 to 3, 2 to 4 inch snow event. Not a big deal by any means, but definitely noticeable out there. You'll definitely notice the increase in the snow on the ground, and then back down into the Alleghenies, the Erie area up towards Buffalo. Going to get some snow out of this event as well. And then obviously the state of New York going to see some pretty good snowfall totals as well. Now, you'll notice not a lot along the I-95 NWS out here into Boston, or at least to whichever office covers Boston, much of the state of Massachusetts, showing a dusting to half an inch. I think that's pretty fair. And we'll watch these snow squalls. How far east can they get? That'll be a question, but someone into this corridor, and I'll even circle it, really anyone right into here could get lucky enough to pick up on a quick dusting to an inch, should these snow squalls maybe overperform and push a little bit closer to the sea than maybe the models currently project. So watching for that, but either way, wouldn't be a big deal if it does make it to the I-95. All right, that's the winter weather ongoing now. Let's talk severe weather, and it's all going to come back to this bowling ball trough that we talked about yesterday. Again, why do we call it a bowling ball trough? Well, it just kind of looks like one. It's really the simple answer that I can give you. But it is like a bowling ball, going to continue to spin and rotate and eventually get shot out of the kind of Four Corners region and into the central and eastern half of the country. But before it does, we've got a tremendous amount of diffluence above us, just meaning we've got a lot of ascent over the area, a lot of lift, and that's going to help to trigger some severe storms this evening over portions of Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Louisiana. That combined with this train of Pacific moisture and Gulf moisture, we're going to get a lot of rain, and it's going to be pretty unstable out there throughout our atmospheric profile. And because of all of that, the Storm Prediction Center has gone ahead and introduced a level 1 out of 5 marginal risk for severe weather this afternoon. And we'll go ahead and look at the kind of probabilities on this. The chance for wind is going to be the highest threat, I think, out of this from Dallas-Fort Worth down towards Waco, Killeen, Austin. Also going to get a bit of a hail threat today, even further north towards Wichita Falls, McKinney, Texas, back out towards Abilene, San Angelo. Now, there is a small but notable tornado threat today. Not a big deal, but watching Austin, Killeen, back down into this corridor of southern Texas, not a big deal, but definitely need to watch it for a couple tornadoes this evening. Would not be or isn't the biggest deal in the world, but definitely something to monitor there. And then we get into our day 2 and check this out. We've got a slight risk, now a level 2 out of 5 from Monroe, Louisiana, back down towards Baton Rouge into Beaumont, Texas. This includes the Houston area. You can see kind of here's the city of Houston. It includes those eastern suburbs towards Pasadena, Kingwood, Baytown, and then over towards Beaumont, like I already mentioned, and then Alexandria into much of the heart of Mississippi. Natchez going to be in this risk, and then a level 1 out of 5 for New Orleans, College Station, Dallas, up towards Little Rock, and surrounding areas. So we're going to run some severe weather threats over the next day or two as this big piece of upper level energy contributes to that potential of some strong to severe storms. Now, let's go ahead and time it out for you and give you the latest. This is our NAM model, and you can see this afternoon initializing pretty well here. We've got some scattered showers due to that upslope flow through Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, even a couple embedded thunderstorms here, potentially into the Arklatex area this afternoon. But it's really this evening that the show gets going as that low-level jet ramps up a little bit. Notice right around here, 10, 11, 12, into the midnight hour. Seeing some of these higher resolution values coming up on our map. This indicates stronger storms, heavier rainfall, some hail mixed in there, and some strong gusty winds. Like I said, that tornado threat really going to be highest on this southern end where we have a little bit more changing of winds with height. Elsewhere, it's going to be kind of just less likely to produce a tornado, but still severe storms through that entire threat area overnight tonight. And then notice, by the time we're waking up tomorrow, this is congealing into a pretty potent squall line from Dallas-Fort Worth, potentially all the way up into the Little Rock area. We could get some big hail into these cells, and then likely stronger winds into this line right here of strong storms. Now, through the day Thursday, this is going to push eastbound, and as it does, it's going to run into a pretty warm sector here, and with that, right around the evening hour, you notice that first initial squall line kind of dies out on us. We get some heavy rain up into the Ozarks, but right around here, this is during the evening, 5, 6, 7, that normal severe weather prime time here. You can see a couple of cells, even supercellular potential, developing back down towards Houston, Beaumont, into southern Louisiana, and these could easily produce a couple tornadoes, and then those push north and another squall line kind of gets going during the overnight. That pushes into Memphis, Natchez, Jackson, Mississippi, and then eventually east and off the screen here, and you can see our big upper level low here. With this pocket of blue, that could produce some back-end snow up into Kansas, Nebraska, and Iowa, which we will talk about here in just a second. So that's a severe weather threat. Kind of all hazards on the table. Tonight into tomorrow is going to be the big time to watch it. And then that gets us perfectly into tomorrow afternoon. Here we go. Notice the kind of orientation of our upper level low beginning to stretch out a little bit here and get kicked to the east. And with that, all of the active weather will move east with it. Now, this is Thursday afternoon. Let's bring it into Thursday evening and overnight. This is about the time frame I ended out on the other model. We've got this big pocket of cold air over Kansas, Oklahoma, and that combined with potentially enough kind of back-end precipitation in here, we could get some snow in that area. Now, the global models have not been picking up on it very well, but our mesoscale models that are starting to get closer into range, the NAM, the high-resolution rapid refresh, showing this potential a little bit better. So I'll show you that on the snowfall map, but just know we could potentially, as this works through, get a band of snow somewhere in here. Now, it would not be a blizzard or a huge winter storm, but it could definitely be notable before the more predictable snow, we'll say, is likely to happen on into the Northeast and potentially even into the Great Lakes. So with that said, let's go ahead and time it out for you and get into the fun. Now, this is Thursday afternoon. Again, that severe weather potential right around here overnight Thursday into Friday. All rain through the Ohio, the Tennessee Valley, back down towards the deep south. This area right here, though, is to watch for potential snow. Looks like rain on this map could be a a very heavy and wet snow. Sorry, struggling to talk this morning. So we will watch that on the backside of that low pressure system. And then all this moves on into the northeast, runs into that cold air that's currently there from all these Arctic blasts we've been dealing with. This is Friday afternoon, and you can see some snow beginning to break out through Vermont, New Hampshire, New York, rain for the I-95, but then a nice band of snow from Maine all the way through upstate New York by the evening of Friday, and then that pushes on through and continues into the overnight, and then we're clear by Saturday morning and Saturday afternoon, although we'll watch then another storm system behind that one for the later half of the weekend. Now, that's the GFS. European, pretty similar, folks. You kind of get the same idea here. Now, a little warmer on the European than the GFS, but same idea. Highest chance for snow is going to be into this region from Maine up into upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, especially the higher elevations. You can kind of see the European highlighting the Adirondacks, the Green Mountains, the mountains here into northern Vermont, and then the higher terrain there up through Maine. So it could be a slightly elevation-dependent storm system as we're dealing with this warmer pattern. But then kind of you get that evaporation cooling, and you kind of are able to get some dynamic cooling more like, and we get those isotherm profiles to get a little colder and a little snowier, and it's a big heavy wet snow once more into the interior of New England, and then it's done by Saturday morning. So kind of a quick hitting storm. That's been the name of the game recently. Now let's take a look at potential snowfall totals out of this. Now this is the GFS model. You can see highlighting the northeast. Now this is probably overdone a little bit, but some of these higher elevations could get half a foot to a foot before all is said and done, but I do think this will be elevation dependent. So GFS probably overdone a little bit, but you get the swath here from Maine into Vermont, New Hampshire, upstate New York, maybe clipping the Buffalo area, and then potentially portions of Michigan going to have the highest chance for snow. That's the GFS. This is the European model, a little less snow, it's a little warmer, same places though. The Canadian model, same story, kind of elevation dependent here, same swath. Now let me show you the NAM model. And what do you notice different? Look at this band of snow in the NAM from Detroit through Chicago back down into the Kansas City area. This is a wild card. Like I said, if that upper level low on the backside can get a little bit of a deformation band of sorts to form, this little band of skinny snow could happen. Now, the NAM's probably overdoing the totals here, but a burst of a couple inches of snow would not be out of the question in that area. And I think we'll be able to dive into that more tomorrow as we get really into the mesoscale range, and we'll talk about it a little more in depth. But either way, good little snowstorm coming for the interior northeast into your Friday, especially the overnight of Friday into Saturday. All right, what's after that? Well, here's the storm again, Friday afternoon, but we are watching the potential of another storm system. So what I want you to notice here, see this blue line? This right here is basically our jet stream. So let me draw it maybe a little bit prettier, and I'll even draw it in blue. So right here is kind of the location of our jet. So everything to the north of that is going to be cool air. Everything to the south is going to be more of that spring fever type air going into the weekend. Now, not everyone in the south will be quite as spring fever as others, but you get the point. This is kind of where our storm track and our dividing line is between the colds. So I'm going to keep that on the screen and watch what happens this weekend. We get another storm system to kind of ride that boundary, and this one, once again, could produce some snow in the northeast. This is Sunday afternoon. We've got snow into New England. Not a huge storm, but again, a notable storm. Bigger deal for eastern Canada through Quebec, Ontario, and then back out into the maritime provinces of Canada. And you can kind of see really most of the active storminess stays to the north of that line. A front tries to swing on through and could bring some light showers this weekend down south. But overall, that's going to kind of be the bigger deal. And then it's going to get quiet for a little bit, I think. February, we'll say, let's see, when does this move out here? We'll say February 4th through right around here, the 6th. So a couple of days of really nothing happening, which I know isn't a long time, but the way the January has gone so far, that would be, a bit of a shock probably for some people. Now, it's that time frame after that little quiet period, right around the 6th, the 7th, maybe even the 5th, that we need to start watching the potential for another storm system. This one could be a little more potent, and here's kind of the setup for it. This is our upper level map going into the calendar flip. This is Saturday afternoon into February 1st here. We've got that shot of cold air in the northeast with a trough here. We've got a trough out west, and then we've got a ridge down south. So basically, the pattern this weekend is going to be beautiful. Closest thing to spring we felt in a while through the southern half of the country, and then pockets of colder air. I just realized I almost drew a face looking at you, so There you go. Just pretend it's smiling. That's kind of what the pattern's going to be this weekend. Now, after that, we get that secondary clipper system later this weekend with that second shot of blue. Here you go. You can kind of see right into here. Another trough, that's what's going to bring that Sunday storm that's likely going to clip portions of the Northeast. And then, again, a big ridge builds in by Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. But after that, watch this trough come out of the Pacific Northwest here. Here it is, this area of blue, and that could fire off another storm. And the orientation of this trough, I think, is becoming a little bit more clear. So notice we still have this zonal flow through the south, but we've got this troughing to the north. So I think what's likely to happen here is we're going to get a bit of a boundary to set up right into here with cold, potential snowy weather to the north and then warmer air to the south. And where you are in between that, that's where we could see some sort of winter mischief, specifically watching the ice potential. Snow potential is more likely to the north and then rain potential more likely to the south. But I think we're going to get a battleground here of some ice to break out right around the February 6th, 7th, and 8th time frame. And you can kind of see that on some of our models. Here's the latest GFS. Taking a look at it, this is the weekend storm, the Saturday, Sunday clipper, and then that boundary sets up, and here we go, a storm system begins to form. Check this out, by the 5th, we've got a kind of icy mess beginning here through the plains from Kansas into portions of Missouri, into the Ohio Valley, and then trying to sneak into the mid-Atlantic. Just a round after round of icy mess, then becomes kind of a snowy mess, and then rain to the south. And that pattern hangs around for a while, folks. Look, it happens again right around the 10th of February. I get this is in La La Land, but I think this is going to be a pattern to watch through the 5th through the 15th or so of February. It's kind of these overrunning events, as we call them, meaning we've got cold air stuck at the surface, but spring trying to come back and overrun it. That leads to ice, snow, rain, a little bit of everything. So that was the GFS model. What about the European? Well, kind of the same idea in that time frame. Here we go, right around the 6th or so. Look at that ice kind of, it's not a big signal, but some ice breaking out here through the plains and then getting into the mid-Atlantic. And the European gets a pretty potent little nor'easter going with some ice and snow right around the 8th or so of February. And that's kind of the pattern to watch in that time frame. Now, I forgot to pull it up, so we'll do it on the fly here. Let's look at the ensemble. Specifically, I want to look at the threat of freezing rain. This is the European ensemble. Always does a pretty good job at sniffing freezing rain out. And here's the pattern. So once you see colors beginning to show up, that's a sign of a higher probability of freezing rain, and we'll wait for it. Nothing yet, but here we go, right around this time frame. That's the 5th, the 6th, the 7th. High probability of some ice into this area. Now, different than what the operational run showed, so, we'll see how that shakes out, but you get the idea. Pattern favorable for some sort of ice right around that time frame in the highlighted area, and that kind of favorable pattern hangs around with more chances for ice after that. Now, what about snow? My guess is it'll be the same area, just a little bit further north. Let's see that time frame. All right, it should be right around here. And yeah, there you go. What'd I say? Basically, the chance for snow, the highest just north of that ice chance. So, look at the ensembles here, and I'll go ahead and just circle a general area right into here is where we need to watch for some sort of ice and snow potential. Right around the time, we get to the second week of February. And by the second week, I don't mean like starting on the Monday, the second Monday. I mean about the 6th, 7th, 8th time frame is whenever we will need to watch for winter storm potential in that region. Now, final thing I'll talk about are temperatures. What does this show? What is it going to look like? Well, let's get into this weekend. This is Friday afternoon. I mean, folks, it's going to feel nice out there. Look at these warmer temperatures working back into the forecast. A beautiful kind of Friday, and then we get another shot of Arctic air in the Northeast. That could even ooze down into the mid-Atlantic. We'll watch that, and then it warms up big again next week. Check this out. Next Monday afternoon, I mean, we're talking 15 to 20 degrees above what we should be this time of year, polar opposite of what we saw a week ago at this time frame. And that warm weather tries to hang on, but then we get to that time frame and notice how the blue and the red kind of clash a little bit here, and that's where that active storm track could try to set up. And we'll absolutely watch that as we get towards the 7 to 10 day time frame. And then long range, the models try to turn a little bit colder. We'll see what happens. But that's all I got for you. Again, I will say, if you haven't already, or I guess I'll ask, not say, go ahead, like the video, subscribe, and hit that bell for the latest notifications. With that said, though, y'all have a great one. Stay warm, stay safe, and I'll see you all next time.